According to the World Health Organization, 1 billion people worldwide are struggling with obesity, but also we have huge numbers here in Uganda, and today we are trying to understand why this is the trend, regardless of the trending workout exercises, as well as diet changes that we have seen, especially on social media, where it seems like everybody is trying to find a way to get better when it comes to health. So we shall look at obesity today, and you are welcome. A very good morning to you. I hope everything is going well. My name is Viola Sasia. It's NTV Medical Matters, and we are supported by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We have a dietitian here, nutritionist in studio. He's very excited to talk to us today. But before we go any further, we always want to bring to you people on ground who have dealt with the topics we talk about, just so you can understand you're not in this alone, but also see that it's possible to actually see life on the other side. So we have a story about this gentleman that had to drop so many kgs in order to get to his preferred weight and also live a better life. So here we go, take a look at the story and learn a thing or two. Thank you so much, Philip, for giving us your time and for allowing to speak to us about your weight loss journey. So before you embarked on this journey of, trying to correct your weight, what was your experience like and what were some of the health challenges that you encountered?
My name is Philip Katahoire from Kingdom, Bunyoro. And I was feeling haggard, by virtue of my posting. I'm Minister of External Affairs, the Kingdom of Kingdom. We go for many parties, we eat many things here and there as a minister of Mukama. So I became so plump, so fat and haggard. I would not walk properly. Walking around here for a few meters, I would feel tired. Then I wondered what's happening. Then also you'd see my shirts when I'm wearing, going for a party, sit down, button here would open. The tie would be here, and then you find a hole here at the umbilical cord. Then I felt something was wrong. Then I also got blood pressure. It became very high, actually, 194. And one time it shot up at 3 a.m. And I went to a clinic somewhere around Bukoto. They told me it is too high, I can't manage you. They referred me to Victoria Hospital. And we spent 2 million shillings in one day. Wow. Yeah, so then I was there taking medicine. Of course, I was stabilized. Then I met a guy, a nutritionist called Baguma Ivan Philip. I'm a nutritionist, I think, and he advised me, he says, the best thing to do is to have your nutrition, control your diet, eat intuitively, not these hips we eat at parties. Yeah. But I was first scared. I didn't know I could live without food for some time without food. He said, no, I'll guide you. He makes a plan for you, and then you follow that plan. I said, okay. I took courage. I said, okay. And I made a target. I said, now for 3 months, I want to try it for 3 months. I started on August 11th, and I targeted up to November 11th. But at the beginning, it was, I was scared, I'm telling you, because the portions it gives you, they are very small. And also it gives you this food is El Monde, Kalovichi, Kaunga. No, I found eating myself some greens, some broccoli, zucchini, and those pepper, but yeah, it's food. But I was scared, given that how I grew up in the village where I come from, we used to eat real food. So I saw there was no food on the plate, according to me. Told me that food is those things. Yeah, only that you have, the values will come from those things. I said, but how? I said, when you feel hungry, and you feel you want to eat something before you are getting used, take some fruits. Then it taught you about that they fill the stomach, that you feel full. If that food itself it gives you satisfying. I didn't know actually, I was scared by the way at first.
So what was that moment in time where you decided, I think this is a critical moment and I need to find help for my weight because of what was happening to you? Would you remember that time and talk to us about it?
First, I went to hospital. And the bill was one day bill was 2 million shillings. That's one scare. Secondly, my own health, I was feeling not comfortable with my life. Breathing, not sleeping well. I had to make a choice. And I had seen these things. I was in America for some time in History City. And I would see on American Got Talent show, there was a African-American guy a partner, a judge with Simon Cowell. He was very huge, eh? And then one time they took him to hospital. They did gastric, something operation to reduce the intestine. I didn't know about it also. I said, now, I had seen it earlier. I said, it seems being fat can cause you something. And in Uganda, when it comes to operations, things to do with the theater. So I said, maybe I might be like that man. One time I saw him being operated on, which I learned in Uganda now that they can also do it here. Then they cut off a third part which makes you eat more. This is now medical. So I said, that's now extreme. Then when I met this man, Baguma, he told me, if you don't control your diet and weight, you will live on medicine for life. So that means you should make a choice. Yeah, you take medicine as food, or take food as medicine. There are two choices. You either take medicine as food, because you swallow every day, every morning, every evening, like in meals, or you choose food to help you too. It was actually, for me, it was a miracle. I said, but let me try.
There are certain foods we are all like, for example, chicken, fish, or anything. Was there certain food you felt it was difficult for you to walk away from? And in that moment, what did you do?
At first, actually, when we began the program with that guy, Baguma, at first he gave me a plan. We began with greens only. For the whole week, there was no solid food, there was nothing. But they were, of course, not at times I was feeling, but am I really eating food? I'm able to survive. Will I manage? Because I'm a guy who used to go out, take my drinks, my food. That was my biggest worry. Because to see the food, the portions, and the kind of the greens. But later, when I told him, actually that's why I think he chose a name called Amicable. I think that he was very careful. He told me, if you get in hardships, come back to me and I advise you. Then he told me, now, what do you want? What do you like to eat? I told him what I also like. I'm eating some meat at least some chicken. Then he says, okay, I'm going to allow you once a week on Sundays, take some pork, but literal. Then chicken, one thigh, or one small breast, which I find also enough because I'm already full of fruits. And breakfast, I take fruits. I don't eat bread for about now 4 months. This bread, these cakes, I don't eat. So I take fruits. So if you feel hungry and you feel at night you want, maybe you take fruits.
Apart from just the plate, the portions, what were those specifics that were involved in your diet by your dietitian, as well as did you incorporate exercise? Because for certain people, that also comes as a part of the plan.
But he told me also that it's good to exercise. So I do exercise actually. I do exercise every morning. I walk about 12 kilometers, 10 kilometers. At first it was hard, but now I feel I should do it because I feel also the body is okay. I'm agile, I'm flexible, and it gives me, I feel energetic, by the way. And then also I sleep well at night. I can sleep very well these days, better than I used to do.
Yeah, for some of our viewers, including myself, you may begin something but quit halfway, especially things to do with weight. When you're at about, I guess, 150, you may not feel like you see the future where you go to 90. So how were you able to stick on the journey? And what would you say to some of our viewers who have started and failed, or who fear to start and fail?
I think you have to be disciplined, really. And for me, it is my life. If I don't care for my life, then it's a problem. In fact, I would take every day, I would take these beers, sit there, many beers. But they told me I also reduce that one. You take a little for your own comfort. But then every evening I would make sure, but then he told me it's not helping you. There are too many calories in your body. So for me, I felt that I have to do it. You have to resolve yourself on something you decide. And it's you, by the way, it's you who decides in your own life. You can't go by others. Me, I'm a live example. I was heavy. I have pictures. I was really heavy. I was a heavy man. Big suits.
I looked at your picture.
You know my picture, yeah. But now I'm the same person. And people tell me, okay, even those now who meet me say, hey, but what happened? Everyone asks me. And actually they ask me, can you give us the number of that person? Others tell me even the skin is shining better. I didn't know that I was not even shining. So I think it's a good program. It's very good to be disciplined and to eat well.
Here is the most important one. Since losing all of this weight, which I believe is truly a long journey, right? But what are some of the changes you've experienced in your mood, in your emotions, I wouldn't say hormones, you're not a doctor, but mentally, or how do you feel generally in your entire body since losing significant weight?
At first I feel really, I never used to feel it by the way, but I was big. Now, other people say, actually some friends of mine was mostly people, but that big, you look, you have no money, as if you have no money. That other people think you have no money, you know. Yeah. So for me, I don't have a problem. I feel very, very positive. I feel okay, And at my age, yes. Actually, I feel very good.
Okay. It's one thing to lose the weight, but it's also another to maintain the weight. So how are you making sure that you don't decline again to 110 kilograms?
So I make sure I don't eat the plate. I use the arm fist. I buy the greens. I buy those things, the green, the mangoes, the oranges, the broccoli, and that's all I eat. And I can go back to that weight because I'm disciplined now. I just take the little portions and what is recommended.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much, Philip. I will let you go now. Go back to your work. There is nothing more we need from you. Thank you for sharing your story, and we really appreciate it, and for motivating our viewers.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. That is Philip Katawere. He's sharing his story about how he lost kilograms just to maintain his weight. He came from 110 kilograms to 92 where he stands now. And he says he's very comfortable because after all, his friends ask him, are you poor? Do you have no money? Why are you small? It's actually very funny. Some of the myths that we are going to be busting here today, because being small to some people appears you have no money, so they have to be obese, which is quite interesting. I saw Philip laughing, and I will introduce him now, Ivan Philip Baguma. They actually share a name. I think you're his guardian angel. You changed his life. You're welcome to the set.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I saw you smiling a lot when he talked about the money thing. Like, why are you small? Are you poor?
No, it's a very common myth. You find that every single time you're dealing with a client, whenever they become smaller, people think that now you've lost money or you're doing financially badly. So it's a very common thing that I hear a lot. So and I hear that a lot. And he shared his testimonial, so with consent I can share this. He said, me, I'm stopping here, you know. I want to look, here is okay, I'm slender, I'm
92.
okay. Yeah, I don't want to go beyond that because people might think I've fallen sick or I don't have money.
We are going to talk about that a bit more, but let's just start off from the beginning. So looking at obesity and some of the records from the World Health Organization, 1 billion people, that's a huge number, you know. But from your experience and your practice here in Uganda, where do the numbers stand? And also, why do you think it's an increasing issue, regardless of the trends that we see in exercising and in dieting and a lot of that?
Well, it's always been about 33% of our population being overweight and obese. However, recently, we've observed that you find that about even 40% of people who are dying, the reason is either a non-communicable disease, usually hypertension, it can be stroke, heart disease, cancer, you name them. But many of these are associated with what? Weight gain. So excessive weight gain, where you become overweight and you become obese eventually, is very harmful to health. So our diet has really shifted what it used to be. We have a lot of refined foods, convenience food, you've heard of that. They call it fast food, quote unquote. I say quote unquote because what's faster than a banana? Being peeled. You know? Food takes about 20 minutes, 15 to get ready. I call it fast food. But it's refined. You have the French fries, you have lots of pasta, white rice, and all that kind of food. Maybe the portion you want it to be very white, because the more white your sugar is, say the more prestigious it is to have that on your table. So it's really shifted from how it used to be. People used to eat a lot of complex carbohydrates. These are foods like the matoke, the kalo, you know, maybe maize, actual maize, not the posho form. You find that people used to eat yam, pumpkin. We have a lot of food here. But people have left all that, and now they're focusing on maybe, say, pilau, rice, or medeyona, as I might say in Uganda, which means all foods on the plate. So those changes have led to people having a lot of weight added on. But additionally to that, you find that because of a low exercise regimen for people People don't like to be physically active. They prefer, if you walk, people think you don't have transport. Not so. Yeah? So ideally, if you see you taking our evening walk, you might think this family has no car.
Oh, yeah.
Or no motorcycle fare or taxi fare. So there's a negative connotation to physical activity.
Yeah.
Even if you start doing it in your friend group and you start exercising, people say, why are you doing too much? Why are you doing more than other people? Is there what you're preparing for that we don't know about?
You know, it actually sounds very sad, you know. It's laughable, but it's also very sad how our minds have gradually changed to believe that if somebody's walking or exercising, they're broke. And so you have to go according to the standard. But before we go deep into that, how connected are these diseases? And at what weight would you say somebody is obese or should embark on a journey to reduce their weight?
All right. Interestingly, that parameter is, can I say, a constant. I want to explain it as easily as possible. There's no such thing as, let's say, this weight works for everybody or doesn't work for the other person. Yeah? It's always a range. There's a healthy weight range where there's minimum weight a person should have or the highest weight they should have. This weight depends on the person's height because ideally, based on your height, your skeleton will then become wider. You get it? It doesn't necessarily become taller when you're an adult. So it has a particular kind of weight it should be able to maintain throughout your life cycle.
You did take my measurements the other day.
Yes.
I was very surprised.
But you were normal, that's a good thing. But ideally now, how you get that, you'd have to do what we call a BMI. You've heard of that term before? The body mass index. So you'd have to get your weight in kilograms.
Yes.
And you divide it by your height times height. That's how you get it. The height has to be in meters. That will tell you where you lie in terms of BMI. And from that, we can tell, based on the lower BMI, what your lowest weight should be, what your highest weight should be. So it's not a fixed weight, but it's a range. That range is where you expect to sleep better, feel lighter, walk easily, less joint pains, less back pains, you know, and so on and so forth. So that is how you look at the healthy weight range. And if you cannot do the weight range, you can just look at your height. Look at how tall you are. You shouldn't be more than half your height sideways. Get that? So if you are sideways more than half your height, then you know there's a problem waiting to happen. Because weight alone is not the biggest indicator. There are other things that happen. Whether the fat is, let's say, near your organs, whether it's under your skin. So it's good to have a checkup, maybe to have your measurements done, like how she had her measurements done, and you get to know where your status is right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Looking at non-communicable diseases, that is the biggest challenge, really. I feel like if somebody had that weight and they felt normal, or they want to say, I'm thick and I feel good, or I look nice, it would be normal. But then let's look at the other underside where the diseases then come in. At what point does that come to become a problem? Especially high blood pressure, and maybe say diabetes or others. Okay,
just to be clear, a correlation isn't a causation. So because someone is overweight, it is not a guarantee that they will develop all these challenges. However, they have a high probability to experience those challenges. So from what we've observed, you might even hear stories of people who actually are overweight and obese and never get high blood pressure. However, the issue is when it does kick in, it's very difficult to lose the weight at that time because it was built by lifestyle. Now, in terms of, the non-communicable diseases, like high blood pressure, heart health, maybe if you can support me there.
Yes.
In terms of clarity, what would you like me to answer?
High blood pressure, diabetes.
Yeah.
I really just wanted to know
how the obesity leads to that.
Yes, how it leads to that particular thing.
For every kilogram someone adds on, their blood pressure, the upper value and the lower value keep changing. The upper one is usually called systolic. The diastolic is called what? The lower one is called diastolic. Yes?
You're really taking us on a ride. You need to make it easy for us.
Just for explanation. Now, ideally, for every kilogram you add, the blood pressure can go upwards, eventually. So there's also that correlation. But you notice that for a person who's overweight, when you get these challenges, at times the first symptom of high blood pressure is a stroke. You've seen many people who get a stroke, and they were normal the previous day, they were fine, maybe even had a wedding, and they got a clot that just stopped their heart. So sometimes there's no obvious symptom. You can't say because my head is hurting, I have high blood pressure. It's not very direct. Most people like to self-medicate because they have some painkillers over the shelf. But when it kicks in, it can be a real challenge. So whenever someone is overweight, they have a high risk of diabetes type 2. That's because your insulin becomes less sensitive. It means that your body can't even tell the fat to go into the cells. It remains in the bloodstream. When that happens, it harms your eyes, you can't see properly. It can harm your blood vessels, you have ruptures, clots begin to build up, the blood vessels become thinner. When they become thinner, your heart has to work harder to keep pushing through narrow vessels which have been clogged by fats. So all that is just a cycle. So one thing leads to another thing. The first thing can come in, maybe obesity first comes in. For 20 years, you're just overweight, nothing has changed. Then blood pressure kicks in, yeah? Then maybe you go on medication. Then diabetes kicks in. Then maybe you go on medication. Then your kidneys begin to struggle. Then the kidneys fail. So it's literally something you prefer to prevent before you get there. Do the best you can to keep a healthy weight. Yes.
Okay, so we shall be looking at whether the loss of weight or weight loss and gain is all about eating less or eating more or exercising or coupling the two to have the desired results. But that is something we are going to do after this break. So stay with us, and also keep in mind you can go to our social media platforms, come up with your questions. The phone lines will be open and be able to talk to us. We have a nutritionist in studio. Let's take a break. We shall be right back. Welcome back from that break, and thanks for staying with us here on NTV Medical Matters. I am Viola Kusasira. We are supported by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And this morning in studio, we have a dietitian, nutritionist from the Amicable Nutritionist, actually, Ivan Philip Baguma, who has worked on a gentleman called Philip, actually. They just share a name and they have had such amazing results working on his weight. So we're discussing obesity this morning and the challenges that come with it. We were speaking about whether the way we eat, whether eating less or eating more and moving more or moving less can actually impact how we turn out in the end, or is there something hidden like metabolism and genetics?
When it comes to what you eat, of course, portion sizes are important, correct? However, how you look at it is what type of food are you eating? If you eat a particular type of food in excess, it may not necessarily lead to weight gain. I'll give a simple example. If you ate lots of cabbage or lots of fruits, yeah, it may not lead to the same weight gain as eating white rice or posho on a plate. So the quantity of food, even though important, it's better for you to change the type of food fast. So the vegetables would be the food that you'd want to eat if you want to lose weight faster and sustainably while feeling satisfied for a long time. Now, you don't have to forget the protein, let's say the carbohydrates or the sauces, could be chicken stew, curry, you name it, beef, whatever it is you like to eat. Or beans or peas. That also comes in play. Now, if you eat whole foods, like I said, the yam, the pumpkin, the maybe say peas, you get that, beans, you have maybe beef, you have lots of cauliflower, broccoli, these are vegetables, you can maintain a healthy weight or even lose weight. However, if you eat the other foods in wrong proportions, let's say if I have a hip plate of medeyona, that's the term we use here in Uganda, so of all foods, where you have cassava, sweet potato, matoke, rice, even kalo in some places, maybe with your sauce. You're eating the same food, but the proportions are not the recommended, and in fact, even though it's a staple food, it can lead to weight gain and other diseases.
I like that you bring that up because there were some misconceptions about being local food means it's healthy and you can eat as much as you would like.
Yeah, and that is not correct. So there's a myth that you've heard this a lot, maybe from the medical fraternity, where they say matoke is just water. That is not true. There's lots of starch in there. And if you eat lots of matoke, on the presumption it's just water, you will have weight gain. And it can lead to many other challenges later on. So the best thing to do is, if you're eating the carbohydrate-rich foods, we use simple guidelines, maybe a palmful like this, carbohydrate-rich food, complex carbohydrates at that, meaning things like the real food from the ground, not the one that you've refined. Say matoke, yam, pumpkin, sweet potato, cassava, you name it. Or it can be a fist size. That's a serving. Then you have lots of vegetables on your plate. 50% is the recommendation of the plate. And then you have your protein, can be 25%, carbs or 25%. That's how you plate it. But if you want to lose weight, I recommend you do 70% veggies. The rest can be anything else. There are some vegetables that are really nice. You've heard of the cruciferous vegetables. They're a bit hard. Things like cauliflower, broccoli, sukuma wiki.
They don't taste very nice.
They don't taste very nice. Season them with black pepper, white pepper, salt. You can even do a little bit of sauteing them. Paint the bottom of the pan with a bit of oil. Wash them well. Don't have to dry them. Put them on the pan. Just 5-15 minutes, they get soft enough, you eat them. Like, there are different, and that's fast food. Imagine food getting ready in 5 minutes. That's fast food. But you get that picture? So the portion sizes are important, like I've tried to explain. But also, the type of food is as crucial. Because there's certain foods, like, I'll give an example of cabbage. You know how to cabbage?
Yes.
It's in the cruciferous category, a bit hard. They have certain components in them, like, I want to say this name, don't cram it, eh?
Yes.
Sulforaphane. Yeah? It's a type of phytonutrient which will help you turn off, I want you to simply say, turn off obesity genes. So at times people will eat vegetables and still gain weight. So there are certain vegetables that are very good for weight management. They turn off certain genes that lead to obesity. They make your body, maybe say, consume the fat faster, boost your metabolism, and veggies keep you satisfied for longer. But besides that, you also need energy to break them down, right? So you're creating a deficit of energy throughout your day. I know I've explained a few concepts here and there, but I know if you need guidance, you can always come through to Bukoto and first we support you.
So the Amicable Nutritionist, it's a very interesting name. And I just want to know how you came up with that, but also for somebody watching, what is the amicable way to lose weight or to begin this journey?
Okay. Amicable Nutritionist was just a contrast to what's on the market right now. I observed that many nutritionists are quite difficult or a bit rude when it comes to dealing with people and their challenges. Yet it's an insecurity. You could still handle someone with love, care, non-judgment, and without fear-mongering them to actually get them to still lose weight and get to their goal. So the amicable approach is warm, friendly, non-judgmental. Meaning that even though you're losing weight, we don't want you to lose your mental health just because you're trying to lose what?
Yeah.
Weight. So that is how the amicable comes in. Amicable way to lose weight would be, you don't have to leave out all your foods, just have more color on your plate. Prioritize real food, yeah, real food. Watch your proportion sizes. And while you're on this journey, enjoy it. Don't lose weight because, oh my God, I have to, people say I don't look nice, all those kind of things. It's supposed to be for you and for your health. So we actually emphasize that if you're losing weight, it should be for yourself. It should be something that you enjoy. Even though we're doing a weight loss program, you should enjoy the food you're eating. You shouldn't wake up and say, oh my God, it's just health. Health. No, you should eat food and be excited about it. Feel like, yes, I'm on a weight loss journey, but you feel empowered, you feel energized, and you have the right information. You're not guessing around or doing water only, you know those things. Eh?
Extreme
water
diets.
only, air only, you know, fasting for 40 days at night. I don't know, but like, you have to eat food, enjoy your food while you lose weight.
We've seen transformative results from that story we had of Philip, who you've worked with.
Yes, I have.
From the moment he said, I felt haggard, I felt weird, I dressed very funny, and now he's very proud at 92 kilograms. So what is the first step when somebody walks into your office at Amicable Nutritionist?
When they walk into our office, the first thing they do is, of course, you smile at them to welcome them. That's the first thing. But ideally, we will do what we call an intake form. First, you take out your forms, fill in your intake, tell us why you're here, what are the things you are aware about. Do you have any allergies? Do you have any historical challenges in your family? So we get to know who this person is, like history taking. You have to sign consent to know that weight loss is not going to happen tomorrow.
Yes.
You're not going to wake up and lose weight like 20 kgs in one day. It will take time to lose that. Say about 3 months. And if you want to lose up to 15 kgs, can be about 6 weeks. And then we do your measurements. We get to do what we call a vibe check. Just get to know how you're doing, you know? Just measure you and get to know how much weight you're having now. Your weight, your height, your body fat, how much fat is around your organs, how much is under your skin, your blood pressure, your blood sugar at fasting, like just to know if you're fit enough to actually do the program, or to know how to tailor your program to make it specific to you, because not everybody is the same. We have people who are willing mentally to do more aggressive programs, others who want to lose weight but slowly and not very aggressively. So we assess that at the beginning. When that is done, you sit with an expert, could be a nutritionist like myself, or someone on my team, and then we delve deeper into your challenges and how to solve them. Yeah? After we've discussed that and we've agreed, then we make a meal plan for you. We personalize, it takes about 48 hours to make a personalized meal plan, because it's a meal plan for Viola. It is not one size fits all. When that is done, we will actually maybe prescribe to you if there's any additional service you need from us. For example, you might come for a consultation, but you might need a program instead. You may need support over time. If you notice that we have seen that if you're losing weight, it will take about 6 weeks, up to 15 kgs. If you're looking at 12 weeks, you can lose up to 25 kgs, depending on how intense you are. But the lower limit is 6 to 12, depending on the periods I've given you. Eh? Now from there, you might say that, okay, fine, I've seen the meal plan, I've understood what I have to change, but I have a difficult corporate job, I don't have time to prepare these meals for myself. So we can prescribe meals to you. There are various packages. It can be lunch only, breakfast and lunch and dinner, breakfast, lunch and dinner, 1 meal a day, smoothies. We find a way to incorporate them in your lifestyle.
I just want to understand a bit more about the measurements.
Yes.
When you talk about the body mass index measurements, for somebody that is a bit shorter, and they're allowed to have more weight than somebody, for example, very tall, being that that height in itself adds something to the weight. But if somebody's shorter, can they become thick and just, do their thing and
You mean the other way around? Saying someone taller should have more weight than someone who's shorter?
Somebody taller should have less fat or less weight.
And then someone shorter should have more?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because they don't have a lot of those bones, to add on the weight.
People who are shorter?
Yeah.
No, ideally, it's a myth that bone weight is going to make someone be overweight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a myth.
It's a myth?
It's a myth. Because if you look at someone's height, yeah, the frame obviously has a weight it carries, right? And that weight for that frame is always within the healthy weight range. If someone is excess of that weight range, they're outside the healthy weight range. Unless they're doing exercises that make them to build a lot of muscle. The exception is the muscle.
Yes.
If someone, let's say, is very active, they have they're bodybuilding, you can't expect a bodybuilder to have the same weight as somebody who is smaller. Over time, I've noticed the trend that people, even who do bodybuilding, after a while when they retire, they have to lose weight. Because carrying an excess weight always does a lot of burden to your heart.
Okay.
No matter how tall you may think you are, if you're not within your healthy weight range, it's your heart that has to do more work.
Okay,
Yes.
so our phone lines are open and we're expecting our dear viewers to call in. If you are there and you have a pressing question, feel free to call. We're also streaming live on X and on the NTV website. So call in and also send your questions so that the nutritionist will get back to you. Talking about the myths, what are some of the top myths you've seen that you need to get rid of today here?
I already mentioned the one for matoke is just water because
Yeah.
it's a very big deal. You find that people who are diabetic are told to eat a lot of matoke and then they still have their blood sugars not well regulated. So portion control is also very important. That's one. Two, we've had the myth that, for one, say, so long as I eat boiled food, I'm healthy. And someone gets boiled food, but the plate is all foods, right? It's heaped. Yeah? They have soup. The soup is like 2 bowls. Yeah? They have like chicken, like 10 pieces. But it's boiled food, right? That's exaggerated, but like 2 pieces. So ideally, that food can still lead to weight gain. Yeah? So how you proportion it with vegetables, half of the plate, and then the other quarters can be other foods, can be easier for you to maintain a healthy weight. Another myth that is there is that if you're small, you're very poor. Yeah? You don't have money for food. I've seen, in fact, nowadays I find that people who are obese are usually the ones, I can't even say that. But ideally, it is not true that the weight of somebody is correlated with what? Their financial status. Isn't it? And also, another myth that is there is that obesity is just a, let's say, lack of willpower, lack of discipline, and maybe say poor lifestyle habits. Not necessarily, yeah? At times, people have really tried the best they can try, but they don't have the correct knowledge. It could be a knowledge gap, yeah? Other times, it could be high stress, yeah? There's hormonal imbalances that lead to weight gain. There could be medications they're on that lead to weight gain. So I believe we should be a bit more kind to people who are overweight. It is not that they have chosen to be overweight.
Is there any hope for somebody who's overweight or obese genetically?
Now, genetically speaking, genes are like what you call a gun without bullets. If you don't put the bullets in the gun will not be able to kill anybody. So you having an obesity gene doesn't necessarily mean you have to be obese. It's that if you have to feed yourself with food, excess of what you require, support that gene to put the fat wherever it's supposed to go. That is one. Two, you having an obesity gene, there are foods that can make that gene inactive.
Okay.
You get that? So the food you eat is very important, much more than just the genes.
So how do you ensure that a client coming to you, gets results? You sign a consent form that it's not a guarantee, but how do you help them become disciplined to make sure that they achieve at least half of their goal?
Well, the first step is knowledge sharing. People have a lot of knowledge in their minds, but it's not organized. And it's not therapeutic. It doesn't give them the results they want. They only believe of calorie in, calorie out. They forget about other nutrients that the body needs to support them. So first thing is knowing what the challenge is. So step one is they get to see the results and appreciate the challenge for themselves. That's one. Two, we get to share the information and show how easy it can be done. That encourages someone to actually follow through to lose weight. Yeah? Three, we actually do what we call diet counseling. Yeah? So you actually explain to someone that indeed eating this way is not going to kill you. Yes? Because many people are worried about the change. They say, only this?
I know.
Where's the food?
Philip
You understand?
talked about it.
Yeah. Where's the food? You get the picture. And what they mean is that the mere yona. Where is it?
Where is mere?
So ideally, you have to deal with those misconceptions and the like. And when someone appreciates that, that is step one.
Yeah.
Knowing what to do, why they should do it, and how to do it. So when they've done that, the next part is we support them. So we do a bit of follow-up. We have them come in for reviews, check in. That's how our programs are designed. We hold your hand. We don't make it so difficult for you. We're accessible. You can ask questions. If you're at a party and you're stuck, we support you. Get the picture. It's not like, when you come back in the next 2 weeks, we shall see you again next time.
How have you dealt with people that express real fear on the portions of food that you're giving out? Philip said that multiple times during the interview, and even off the camera, that I was very scared. This gentleman handed me a handful of vegetables.
Okay. If you look at the portion sizes in the pictures, it's actually a lot of vegetables. The issue was the other type of food.
Okay, pause there. You can pause there. We have a caller on the line.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Yes, please. I can hear you. Speak up louder.
Good morning, madam.
What's your name and your question?
My name is Omach Pascal.
I can't hear you. It's extremely low volume,
My name is Omach Pascal.
Yes, Michael. What's your question?
I'm seeing you with a lady. There's a lady there on NTV and a gentleman, Bakuma.
You're saying what?
About the nutrition on this obesity.
Yes, please.
On obesity.
I can...
My daughter is so big, she's having a lot of problems. Should I send her this? I send her this number. She talks to you.
Our nutritionist is going to be sharing his contact, so you'll be able to get in touch with him and you can help your daughter.
Can share the number? So, okay, if for those of you who want personalized advice and maybe you have this challenge, you can reach out to our office, the Amicable Nutritionist. That's +256, that means you're in Uganda. And then 709 772 662. 709 772 662. That's how you can reach out to my office and have a consultation scheduled for you. How we can support them and see how to help.
Okay, so we have another caller. NTV Medical Matters. We shall have callers keep coming in, and I just want to remind our callers that they can be able to extract this number from YouTube. We always have our episodes on there a day after this show. Say, for example, tomorrow, in case you didn't catch the number, go over there on YouTube, NTV Uganda, and extract this number. And make sure you get in touch with Philip to help your daughter, especially Michael.
You can even just check out our website, amicablenutritionist.com. Find us on social media at Amicable Nutritionist.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, we were talking about the myths. Were they done? Oh, we have a caller. NTV Medical Matters. What's your question and what's your name?
Yes. Hello?
Yes, please,
hello.
I can hear you.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
We can hear you. Good morning. Step away from your TV set and ask your question.
Okay, my question is, I wanted to find out from the doctor a problem of taking a lot of milk.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you for that question.
Thank you.
And I don't know whether we have another call. I'd like to, get a lot of questions and we answer at once.
Okay.
NTV Medical Matters, do we have anybody else on the line? I don't think we have somebody ready for now. So what's the issue with taking a lot of milk?
If I had a penny for every time, or let me say a shilling, for every time I was asked about milk, I'd be so rich. The thing about milk is that milk is a very healthy food. It's a very good food, please, for children and those who need to grow. However, there are a few challenges with milk. The first issue with milk, if someone's trying to lose weight, it can have lots of fat and lots of energy, which can sabotage weight loss. Because people don't take milk, let's say, a cup at breakfast. Sometimes people have 3 cups a day. Then people drink it as water. It has lots of what? Fat and protein. So that's excess energy. That's one. 2, the milk itself, some people are lactose intolerant. They cannot break down the sugar that is in milk properly, and that can lead to problem like gas and bloating and inflammation. The third issue with milk is there's a protein in milk called casein, which babies can break down easily because they have some enzymes that do that. But as we grow older, it becomes less prevalent in the body. When that happens, the milk becomes like a foreign body in your body, put it that way. It irritates the gut, leading to inflammation. Someone would get what you call ulcers, yeah? People always call ulcers, anything they feel in the stomach, say they have ulcers. Yet it has inflammation, an irritable bowel, and there are many other challenges that can face with milk. So milk is a good food for babies, but for adults, it should be taken in moderation, just like any other animal food.
What are some of the ways in which milk can be? Okay, so before you break down how we can, take the milk, we have a caller. NTV Medical Matters. What's your name and your question?
I'm Simon.
Yes, please.
Yes, Simon.
Yes, I'm Simon Luke, calling from NTV.
Yes, what's your question?
I want to know whether you have ever occurred an obesity in newborn children.
Okay, thank you for your question.
Okay, can I answer that?
Yes, please.
That's a very key question. Lately, we have what we call childhood obesity. Yes, and for a child who's obese at infancy, you look at the weight being above, I think above 6, above 4. So again, normal baby weight is from 2.5 to 3.5 kgs. Above 3.5 kgs is something that is overweight. And if the baby is like 6 kgs, 8 kgs, that's a lot of weight. So the child is already predisposed to having obesity much later in life.
How do you help such a child?
That's a very interesting question. It's a case-by-case basis. For that kind of question, I will not give advice on air.
Okay.
Because it would be risky for that kind of child.
We have another caller, NTV Medical Matters. What's your name and your question?
I wanted to ask the doctor.
Yes, please.
Whenever I eat greens, I eat a lot of greens in a day, take warm water in the morning. But sometimes when I sit, standing up, I feel dizzy, I feel I want to faint. What could be the cause of that? Because I no longer take sugar.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my question.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that very good question. Let me get right into it. Those are signs and symptoms of low blood sugar. Yeah, so eating lots of greens is good, but do not forget to have some energy-giving food. That's why you find that for my clients on meal plans, I try to even give them fruits. At least have some fruits to get some natural sugars in your system. If you feel lightheaded or weak, take a fruit like a banana, an apple, something sweet, watermelon, to get your energy levels up. If you've gone off sugar and you cut it out of your system, the body will go through withdrawal. Sugar is more addictive than even cocaine. So ideally, those are symptoms of withdrawal from sugar. Yeah. So you'd have to have some bit of sugar in your body, brought from the complex carbohydrates, the ones I mentioned earlier on, things like yam, pumpkin, sweet potato, cassava, name it. And if you've been eating too much sugar over time, you don't have to go off it radically. Yeah? That's risky. It's like going off drugs radically. You'd have to first go through rehabilitation and go off the sugar slowly. So our meal plans incorporate that. So my advice to you would be that if I know you have a lot of challenges everywhere, but saying no sugar for 0 sugar for 20 days or for 30 days, 40, those things are good. But always make sure that for you as a person, is it realistic? So always add in some sugar foods, some foods with sugar, right? Those are fruits, the sweet fruits. You have the carbohydrate-rich foods, things like pumpkin, sweet potato, and others. Even Irish, to make sure that you don't have that dizziness and that weakness.
You mentioned something about the baby who's overweight, and you say you couldn't share that on air.
I couldn't give advice on air because
it's deadly.
The idea is that if I give personalized advice or individualized advice online, people might take it as this is gospel truth. Let me go do this.
So that means the caller has to call you personally.
Exactly.
But we have another caller online. If you can hear us, what is your name and your question? Okay, I believe they got off. They got off. Hopefully we can get somebody else. But so for the baby, they will have to call you personally.
Yes, get in touch, because ideally, what the risk even you find for weight management, I'm not giving you very direct advice because it's risky. When you tell someone, maybe like how someone said they're eating vegetables only, and greens only, and now they're lightheaded, what if they fall in the road? You understand it? So you have to know how much energy does this person require daily. Yeah, that's what we call the rest metabolism. We measure that when you come to our office. So we use that value to compute how much energy we can give you per day to sustain your life and keep you going through.
Speaking about, tailoring this to an individual, how can schools and institutions help these children? You also work with institutions,
yes,
I understand.
Yes, I do.
So what is the best way that these schools can help, being that there are many children that have different needs,
The beauty about school is that most cases, unless it's a boarding school, the children only eat part of their meals at school, right?
Yeah.
So what you make sure to do in such settings for institutions is that the food is healthy, real, whole, and minimally processed. When you do that, you don't have to worry about other issues. You get the picture? People think about calories in, calories out, counting calories. For example, if I said I'm counting calories and I eat sausages every day, the risk of cancer is so high, yet you have low calories. You understand? So healthy food, you rather have the healthy recommendation. I'll give an example. Having soya porridge has higher density of protein and energy, sometimes more than the maize porridge. You get the picture? So you can add milk to it to make it healthier. You can have some egg served on the side to go with the meal. You can have a fruit on the side to make it richer. So for schools, even a school can have a program designed for them. We do that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Philip, as we wind up, there is this interesting phenomenon where you might get stuck at a certain weight. Whether you're trying to gain weight or lose weight, you could get stuck somewhere. So for somebody watching right now and is stuck at a certain, level, say 100 kilograms, where can they go from here?
I mean, like the plateau.
Yes.
The first thing I want to encourage them is that at least you got that far and you hit a ceiling, right? It's good that you've actually lost weight and reached where you've reached. So don't panic. That's the first step. Yeah? Because at least you're keeping off weight. That's also a win. You're keeping the weight you've lost off. Secondly, you would have to seek personalized guidance because everybody's plateau is different. Yeah, sometimes it could be that we need to now reduce the portions a bit further. It could be that we require to maybe supplement you. Sometimes there's certain teas you've heard of, like green tea, there's matcha tea, there's ashwagandha for stress. All those things. Sometimes they have our own blends just to help someone increase their metabolism. Yeah. We also have to make sure they don't have any deficiencies happening on the journey. Plateaus can come because of deficiencies. You're eating little food, yes, but you're not having the food that you need to eat to break down the nutrients properly. So that's how you deal with it. Yeah. So I cannot say that maybe this will work for Viola, work for Ivan. It's always personalized. So everybody's plateau is led to by different reasons. Yes.
Okay. I think we have covered most of it right now. So this is your moment to give us your last thoughts on everything and what our viewers should take away from here, especially for those who are very worried about embarking on this journey, especially about the small portions you mentioned. They are really traumatizing, They're used to eating a whole plate here.
Okay. My final take would be that always seek personalized nutrition advice. Yes? There's so much noise out there. There's too much Google, ChatGPT, name it, or AI, whatever the case is. Sometimes the human factor is important. Getting to know what does this person like, what foods do they enjoy, preferences. So you include those in someone's meal plan to make the journey much easier on their psyche, right? That's one. Two, if anyone needs personal advice, we are available to help them. Seek a registered nutritionist or dietitian. There are quite many in this country.
If we cannot find you right now, perhaps because we don't have the finances to go there, what is that one step they can take at home from this show, right after this show?
Okay, fine. The first thing they'll do, one, is if you're eating food, choose real, minimally processed, whole food, right? So you're eating either yam, pumpkin, sweet potato, cassava, sorghum, you name it, the one you have locally speaking, your staple. Then you'd have to have beans, peas, those are legumes, beans, peas, lentils, you name it. Those are good foods for protein. Then you have to include some different colors of vegetables. Each color has a different benefit. So you have some dark green leafy vegetables, help you build your blood profile. Make sure you have lots of fruits, different colors are good. Have lots of peppers in there, Different vegetables are also good. For variety is key. Then lastly, I would say that exercise a bit more, Do like a few walks, do a walk, like maybe say about 3,000 steps, 5,000 steps, 6,000 steps. 10,000 steps is a recommendation, but at least start where you are. The best thing you can do for your weight or your lifestyle at home is that start with your next plate. Just do the right thing on the next plate. If you don't do it right, start on the next plate. Like that, just keep going. Be encouraged. There are many people who have actually lost weight and kept it off for years. So it is something very possible. And if you choose to do it, at least you will have the right guidance and knowledge to go ahead. At least I'm giving you the most I can give you online in the time we've been given, right? Yeah, so start from there. Follow us on social media. We give you some tips. Set your consultation. Get to know where you stand, Those of you who asked for our number, I can mention that. That's +256 0709 772 662. And then on social media, follow us at Amicable Nutritionist.
All right, Philip, thank you so much for your time this morning and for sharing those insights about nutrition, obesity, and the role that food plays in what then becomes somebody's weight. So if you've been watching and you're wondering where to begin, Philip here told you start with your next plate, make sure that you are doing the right thing, because just one step is better than no step at all. My name is Viola Sasiara. This morning we're discussing the role of food or diet in obesity, and I hope that you learned a thing or two. If you didn't, go to our YouTube and follow up, for our episode will be on there after the show. And it's NTV Medical Matters. We are supported by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's always a pleasure having you every Monday. We shall catch you next Monday. Enjoy your week and be blessed.